Hello everyone and welcome to my guide on the master level Nightfall. This is the 980 Nightfall and this is week 2. The strike this week is Scarlet Keep. I'll be doing guides on these every week, and it'll include the weapons and loadouts that my team found to be the most effective, and a strategy that has a mixed emphasis on getting the highest score possible for the 100k, killing all the champions for the best rewards, and doing so in a not incredibly risky but consistent manner that's still efficient. So it's not going to be the absolute fastest speedrun strats, but it will be the safest, ensure the highest score, kill all the champions, and still allow you to finish in a reasonable amount of time if you're looking to farm it. These guys are definitely going to be longer videos, but in the next coming guides, I'll do my best to find a way to edit what's not necessary out. If you'd like to skip ahead of the loadout portion and go straight to the gameplay, you can do so by skipping ahead to the time on screen. The modifiers this week are of course Locked Equipment, Martyr, Match Game, Togetherness, Hash Loaded and Serenade, Barrier Champions, Unstoppable Champions, and Champions Mob, so more champions. These guides will mainly be geared towards players using one of each class in their fire team, so a Hunter, Titan, and Warlock, and for this week each one will have a specific role. Starting with our Stagger player, I recommend this being the Bubble Sentinel with Helm of Scene 14, or if you want maybe a little bit more debuffs, Armamentarium. Use an Unstoppable Hand Cannon, preferably a Void one, with Izanagi's Burden, so again focusing on staggering enemies and laying down that massive DPS. I suggest this player have Delirium or Wendigo equipped to take out arc shields for the team, as well as have the Oppressive Darkness mod with magnetic grenades for a debuff on enemies. This player's main focus should be to stagger enemies like the Unstoppable Champions, but not only that, if there's an enemy with hard aggro on you that you need a second of breathing room from, if they don't have shields, you can still stagger them. Otherwise, their other main priority is to utilize Izanagi's Burden stacked shots to quickly take out yellow bars, as well as mini bosses and champions. Next up is our utility player, which is going to be responsible mainly for taking out shields and debuffing enemies. This will be the Tether Nightstalker top tree with Orpheus Riggs, and they'll be using a scout or pulse rifle for range, as well as Ariana's Vow as your anti-barrier hand cannon. You'll also pair this with a spike grenade launcher for good damage against enemies, as well as use the Oppressive Darkness mod with vortex grenades to debuff enemies. It's this player's job when killing champions to be prepared to take out their barrier shields to stun them and finish off the kill. It's also their job to be ready to take out shields, especially solar ones with Ariana's Vow on things like wizards. And if you happen to have a spike GL that's arc, or maybe just a Wendigo, take out arc shields as well. And of course, lastly, you're going to want to be able to apply a debuff with your Oppressive Darkness vortex grenades on every yellow bar, or most of them at the least, especially of course champions. Lastly, we have our buff player. They'll be on Well of Radiance with Lunafactions or Starfire Protocol, or if you like, you can have this player on Warlock on Top Tree Nova with Skull of Dire Ahamkara. It's best for them to be using a Pulse or Scout Rifle for optimal range and safety, as well as Divinity to disrupt enemies, which also lowers their damage output and gives your team an easier, quicker time to kill chunky enemies like champions, with increased damage on your Izanagi's Burden stack, as well as Ariana's Vow or power weapons. Divinity is also great for taking out arc shields, so they'll be able to do that as well, and then I do recommend combining this of course with a spike grenade launcher for good damage output. Other things I recommend are boss resist and minor resist mods, as well as discipline mods for the Oppressive Darkness players, so they can really just have their debuff as frequently as possible for big enemies. If you'd like, you can even have a player on heavy finisher if you don't mind the cost of super energy, so that they can actually get heavy ammo to drop, and I believe I was told that this drops special for the team as well. And of course, coordinate your heavy weapons so you have coverage for both arc and solar shields, which are going to be very frequent in the strike. Moving on to the main guide now, I'm not starting with the initial ads. I'll be starting at the first inside tower, which is the first champion. There'll be groups of acolytes or ads around the champion and the bottom platform. You do not have to jump down, and there's some in the bottom left. I recommend shooting these ads, taking out the ads and clearing them up first, and then going for the champion. Be wary that there will be snipers that spawn at the right two platforms of the room, so be sure to take those out before advancing. Depending on the position of the champion, you should be able to clear the room as well as the champion from the top area that you enter in, which is the safest. The main order of operations for taking out barrier champions efficiently throughout the strike is going to be applying an Oppressive Darkness grenade debuff and then applying Divinity. After that, shooting him with an Izanagi's burden shot to take out most of his health, and being ready with your Ariana's Vow to pop the shields for the kill. You have to be ready to put damage in and break the shield with Ariana's Vow, because otherwise they will regenerate health quite rapidly and thus waste ammo. Also, do your best to hit critical hits with Ariana's Vow to maintain your damage buff so it takes less shots to pop the shields. After the champion, there'll be a transition area with ads and a wizard. Pop the shield for your team with Ariana's Vow, clear the ads, and continue. In this segment, what I'll call the Courtyard, you'll have champions 2 and 3 to start. Ads as well as their champion will spawn at the far left and far right corners of the main platform. If you'd like to speed things up with your team, you can try and grenade the spawns. We usually do the left side first and then cover the right side, but make sure if you are throwing grenades to save some nades with a debuff for when you're taking out the champions. My team preferred to clear the ads on the left side first and then go clear the ads on the right side, then kill the left champion and then the right champion, using again that same order of operations I mentioned earlier, so putting down a grenade debuff, divinity, Izanagi, then pop the shields with Ariana's Vow. I should mention that finishers are actually very good, even if you're not using any sort of mod, and that might actually be better because you can use finishers solely as a way to conserve ammo and quickly take out an enemy when they're on that last chunk of health. Not using any sort of finisher mod will make it so that it doesn't cost you super energy, so you can use it purely to take out enemies and conserve ammo. You also get a good amount of damage resistance while you're in your finisher. After taking out both the champions, you'll have to go to both the left tower then the right tower to pick up objective pieces to slam back in the middle. On the way to the side towers, new ads will spawn that you'll need to take out before advancing, and when approaching the side towers there will be a wizard on the left one accompanied by a few acolytes. I recommend using Ariana's Vow to very quickly take out its solar shields, and if you'd like to save a bit of time, this is somewhere where if you want you can tether or dump a little bit of heavy ammo just to take out the wizard quicker. After taking out the wizard, have a player pick up the objective and start bringing it back to the original main platform. Be wary though that a new champion as well as ads will spawn in the same left corner as they did originally while you're bringing the ball back. Clear the ads first and foremost, then work on taking out the champion. Keep in mind that you can put the ball down, it is on a timer though, so you do have to pick it up periodically, but you're not completely out of the fight by picking up the objective. So when you're done clearing ads, you can put down the objective and all three work on taking out the champion and then slam it. After completing the left tower, you'll have to do the right tower. So moving towards the right tower, there will be, of course, a different set of ads. It will have the same acolytes and, of course, the wizard in the furthest room of the right side tower. But in the closer room on the way to the objective, there will be a knight with arc shields. These enemies will be very common throughout the strike, so be ready to take out its shields with an arc weapon. You can use divinity or even just a shot of a heavy weapon just to quickly take out the shields and then take the knight out. You can quickly take out the wizard's shields again, of course, with Ariana's Vow for your team. Kill the wizard, and after you do, of course, pick up the objective. When bringing back the objective this time though, we're going to do something a little bit different. You can actually hop up to the closer building that the knight was in and clear ads from the top here. Keep in mind this time though, there are going to be some pretty tanky curse thrall that spawn, so you can stay up here and clear all the ads before pursuing the new champion that spawns. Depending on the positioning of the champion, you might be able to kill him from the upper area, but if not, drop down as a team, debuff the champion, divinity, Izanagi's burden, and then Ariana's Vow it for the kill, slam the objective, and be ready to move on to the next portion of the Nightfall. Now at the first part of the bridge, we're going to be dealing with a lot of adds as well as a couple knights with arc shields and our 6th champion, which is an unstoppable champion. It's an ogre. Be careful with how far you push up this bridge because you actually don't have to deal with the knights and the ogre at the same time. If you push up just far enough, you'll have the knights spawn and their adds, and then if you push up a little further, the ogre will then spawn afterwards. In the interest of saving time and killing adds quickly, you can actually tether this part. Since there is a good group of adds spawning together, you'll get a good amount of energy back from Orpheus rigs, and you'll be able to clear the adds relatively quickly and then get to the ogre. The ogres aren't necessarily too hard to kill, and you might not even need heavy ammo for it, although I still recommend saving heavy ammo for any points where an ogre is in the strike. The most important factor in killing the ogres is going to be timing your stagger. So when they start charging towards you, you want to stagger them, maybe again not so much immediately, but when they start charging towards you and locking on aggro to you, you want to stagger them and then melt them. The next part of the bridge isn't quite as tough. There's just a bunch of adds like acolytes to clean up and a wizard on the left and right sides of the bridge floating above it. To take out the wizards, you can do so pretty quickly just by popping 1 or 2 shots of Ariana's Vow to take out the shields and using a stacked Izanagi's burn shot once the shields are down to kill them very quickly. After clearing this portion of the bridge, push up and be prepared to face the next champion. Moving past the bridge area, we're now going to be at the main outside tower area. In this area, we're going to have to deal with a Shrieker, our 7th champion, which is a barrier champion, and a wizard just a little further on when transitioning to the next area. Firstly, as usual, clear all the adds, the small acolytes, make sure you take care of them before moving on to take care of the champion. The Shrieker will only attack you if you move close enough so you can actually clear the adds outside of its range, and when you're ready to take out the Shrieker with a stacked Izanagi shot, then move up, make it open up, and then kill it. Once the adds are taken care of and you have no distractions, you can take out the champion in your usual fashion. Remember that once you're done with the champion and this initial area, you're going to have to move up into the tower, and when you're doing so, there's going to be a few acolytes that you have to take care of, as well as a wizard. Of course, again, use your Ariana's Vow to quickly take out the shields, kill it, and then move on. Now moving inside the Scarlet Keep entrance, we'll have to deal with the 8th champion. Of course, take out all the acolytes and deal with the champion. This will be a barrier knight. In this room, you'll have to go through capturing 3 plates, an altar on the left, right, and middle, and my team preferred to do it in that order. Be careful when moving over to the left platform to start that you don't accidentally step over the middle platform, because stepping on these platforms will trigger a few acolytes and a wizard to spawn. When gaining progress on the platform though, you will spawn more acolytes and a champion for each platform. If you'd like to make this more efficient and quicker, you can actually use a super on each platform. I started by tethering the left platform right as the wizard and the ad spawn, so I could kill the wizard very quickly. After taking out the wizard, we worked on the surrounding ads and cleared those first, and then took out the champion. But keep in mind, when you do capture the platform, there are going to be sniper acolytes that spawn in the middle, so be sure to take care of those as well. After you complete the objective and kill the associated champion with that altar, move on to the next altar, which is going to be the right altar. Finally, after you're finished doing the same thing on the right altar, utilizing a super if you'd like again to make it safer and quicker, you can move to the middle one and do the same thing once again to finish off the area. Now at the outside cliff side of the Tower of Woe, we're going to have our 12th champion, again another Barrier Knight. There are a few acolytes to kill, so be sure to take those out first, and there are a few sniper acolytes in the top right bridge area. You can actually move up to that top right bridge area before taking care of the champion and kill it from there, which might be a little bit more advantageous. In this outside area, the entrance to the Tower of Woe will have to be dealing with a Shrieker and two champions, two barrier champions number 13 and 14. There'll be a good amount of ads to take out, so clear those first, and there'll be a lot of sniper acolytes, so be sure to be wary of those and take those out in that upper bridge area. If you'd like to use a tether, you can use it here just to clear the ads quicker. Try to use it on the farther area where all the snipers are to catch them all and kill them very quickly while making orbs and regaining super energy. The Shrieker is the same rule as last time. If you move too close to it, it's going to attack you and open up, but if you're not, you don't really have to worry about it, so only move up to it when you're ready to spend that stacked Izanagi shot on it to take it out quickly. And once you do handle all of those, you can take out your champions. You might want to take out the first champion before the Shrieker just because it might actually be closer to you, so you can do that. Just assess the scenario and see which option is better, but the next champion you probably want to clear all the ads before taking out. Moving into the Tower of Woe, on its first floor you'll have to deal with your 15th champion, which again is another Barrier Knight. There are just a few ads accompanying it, so again, quickly take out the ads and deal with the champion before activating the elevator and moving on to that. After each floor, you'll have to go on an elevator, and in these elevators, you're going to have acolytes shooting you from different windows as you're moving up. You have to just stay alive. You don't even have to kill them. Just focus on staggering them mainly. But if you don't go up the elevator, like I don't here, you are still actually pulled to your teammates when they get to the top. However, you will have your own set of ads to deal with, so you can't just purposely jump off and wait to be joining allies. It's also worth mentioning that if you die, you have nothing to worry about because your revive will be up at the next level. You need to be sure at least one teammate makes it. Healing rifts, bubbles, and barricades don't really work here because the elevator will just pass through them. On the second floor here, you're going to have two wizards and two barrier champions to deal with, numbers 16 and 17. My team preferred to start from the left side, clearing all the ads, and if there were any visible ads on the right side, clearing those as well. Take care of those acolytes, and then start focusing on the wizards and the champion. You got to use your own discretion to see which one you want to take care of first or how you want to deal with them based on the proximity of them towards you. I did like to use my tether here pretty frequently just because we had more control over the knight and the wizards, especially if they started to pair up and group up together, all four of them. You had more control over them and you could take them out quicker. So use a tether if you'd like, make orbs for your team. I think you can even use another super and still have it in time for the next room or even the boss room. So again, use your own discretion. You'll have to again just take out the wizards and the champions, of course, to move on to the next elevator and the next floor. Now at the 3rd floor, we'll have to deal with adds, 2 wizards, and our 18th champion, which is an unstoppable ogre that'll spawn front and center as soon as you move close enough. Remember, the trick to these ogres is staggering at the right time. When it starts moving towards you or really locking on that aggression, that is the appropriate time to stagger them and really go for the kill. Similarly to barrier knights, you don't really want to go for the stagger or waste your stagger too early when your team isn't ready to go for the kill. A lot of taking out these champions is really, I think, team coordination and using your staggers and piercing at the correct time. After taking out the ogre, you'll have to move through the middle entrance, as that's the only one available to you, so you'll have adds to your left and right. So clear the adds, take your time, perhaps even have one teammate look one way, the other two look the other way, whichever or however you'd like to do it to clear them safely and efficiently. Then move to one side as a team, kill a wizard, move to the other side, take out the other one, and then move on to the elevator, and then we'll be at the boss room. To start the boss fight, the boss won't be attacking you, but you do need to kill 2 wizards. So you can take these out at your own pace. There's not really any sort of stress. You can just sit back and even just primary them to death. You don't really need to waste any ammo if you want to be conservative, and make sure you have a good efficient time against the boss during the boss fight, which there will be a lot of adds and some tough champions to work through. After killing the wizards and starting the fight, you should be able to get the boss down 1 bar of health, and you don't really need to use anything but your primary weapon. Nothing really spawns until you get the boss down that 1 bar of health. After dealing the bar of damage, you're going to have adds start to spawn on the first phase. You'll have a fair amount of acolytes and thrall to deal with, as well as a few knights with arc shields and 2 wizards. My team preferred to start at and control the right side of the room, and as soon as adds started spawning, drop our Well of Radiance. And after the knights began to spawn, then I would use my tether in the middle, trying to capture as many adds as I could, including the wizards and knights in the tether, so we could clear as many enemies as once and have a bit of control over them. I also think you should be focusing on using a little bit of heavy perhaps rather than divinity to take out those arc shields as soon as possible to make the most out of the tether, and use your Ariana's Vow of course to pop the wizard shields. After clearing adds, you'll have a pretty safe opportunity to deal damage to the boss once again, getting it down to its last bar of health. If you'd like to expedite the process in this, you can use an Izunagi's Burden Stack to make it jump there a little quicker if you have the ammo to do so. Be wary of the boss's attack that appears under your feet and sends you flying. It will do more damage and send you flying further because of the modifier that's active. Once you do get 2 bars of health off of the boss, more enemies will spawn, including 2 champions, 2 unstoppable ogres, wizards, 2 of them again, and some more Arc Knights on top of Cursed Thrall and regular Thrall, and I think a few Acolytes as well, so you have a lot to deal with. My team again preferred to control the right side if possible, dumping a bubble or a well, whichever was appropriate. I think in this case the bubble was better in case the knights decided to charge at you. They would be blinded by the Saint 14 bubble, and we'd keep the well as a backup. But remember, the big thing here is going to be those unstoppable ogres. The same thing as previously dealing with the ogres, except since there's two of them, you really have to be on point as the stagger player to prioritize staggering the ogres at the right time for your team first, and then dealing damage and taking them out second. Unfortunately, in this run, which was a pretty average run overall, my team had some difficulty with that. We had a bunch of other runs where we completely nuked the ogres, but for whatever reason I didn't get to record those, but I was okay with it because I want to show you guys that in case something does go wrong, there is a bit of a failsafe and place that you can hide where you'll pretty much be untouched. You'll see me go to a spot behind one of the main pillars that you can literally sit at and enemies probably won't touch you. In my experience, they haven't touched me once when I sit there. So if your team does die and you need to wait and they need to time their respawns together, just go sit in the spot and you guys aren't going to wipe. But focusing on getting this done efficiently and properly, again, really prioritize the stagger and then melting the ogres rather than the damage first, and be on the same page as your team. As the stagger player, you have to be doing it at the time that's most appropriate for your team. After doing that, then you can focus on everything else in the room. Essentially, after taking out those ogres, whether you had to use heavy, I usually save the heavy for them so we can do it quickly, but whether you had to use heavy or not, after killing the ogres, you can just dump everything you got and everything else because you'll pretty much be done the fight. After taking care of the remaining knights or wizards in the room, you just deal damage to the boss for the last bar of health, and you're finished. You're done. And because you killed all the champions, you should get the highest reward tier possible, so usually getting a pretty nice exotic drop, as well as some upgrade materials, and maybe even some enhanced mods. Anyways, this has been my first guide for the week 2 Master Nightfall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like it got a little repetitive at times, so I think what I might do in the future is make a commentary discussing all the loadouts and general tips I have, and then provide a live commentary gameplay of the strike itself with maybe a few text points. Let me know what you'd like me to do. Do you want me to keep commentating recorded afterwards like this, or would you prefer what I just said? Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Hope this was useful. I'll see you later. Take care.
But Hashladun's presence is no coincidence. The Hive must have grander ambitions for the Pyramid's influences. Return to me. There is much to discuss.